This is lesson 2 in the structure and function of body systems topic entitled gas exchange. You can find information about this lesson on pages 28 and 29 of the Activate textbook. By the end of the lesson you should be able to describe the structure of the gas exchange system and be able to describe how parts of the gas exchange system are adapted to do their jobs. Before we get going, a little reminder of what we did last lesson. We're looking at the hierarchy of the organisation of a multicellular organism. All I'd simply like you to do is to put that list on the left hand side here, organism, organ, cell, organ system, tissue, into the correct structure with the smallest at the top. Okay, so rearrange them. You can just jot this down in rough on a piece of paper and then see how you did in a moment. So pause the video. Okay, so if you've understood that, you should have got smallest being the cell, the next smallest tissue, then comes organ, organ system, and then organism. Well done if you got all those right. Today's lesson is about the respiratory system, and again, the red on the right hand side here, this needs to go into your notes. So title, you'll need to pause the video to take the note if you're not using the PowerPoint. So let's begin. First of all, respiration is the process by which energy from the food that we eat is extracted. So it's the way of getting energy out of our food, and that requires a chemical reaction. Chemical reaction between the glucose or sugar that's contained in our foods. That reacts with the oxygen that we breathe in, and in return, when that happens, we get energy. That's the purpose of respiration, to produce energy from our food, and the waste products are carbon dioxide gas and water. So the whole point of the respiratory system is to get oxygen into our bodies, which we require for respiration, and to get carbon dioxide, the waste product, out. As you can see, therefore, if respiration is to take place, the air that we breathe out, the air that we exhale, is therefore different from the air that we breathe in, inhale, and you have to be aware of those differences. Now, it's difficult to draw pie charts. You could do it as a list if you wanted to, or again, you could print this screen off. I don't mind, as long as you're understanding information. So if we look at them then, the inhaled air, first thing you notice is most of the inhaled air, again from a previous unit, is mainly nitrogen. Over 3/4 rather is nitrogen, and that's unchanged. And it's unchanged because it's not involved in respiration itself. Respiration, however, does involve the using of oxygen. So if you look at the air that's breathed in, we've got around about 21% there. The air that we breathe out is only about 16% because some of that oxygen has been used in the process of respiration. And when respiration occurs, it produces carbon dioxide. So we would expect the levels of carbon dioxide to increase. And as you can see there, a very, very tiny amount in air ordinarily, 0.04%. But the air that we breathe out actually contains 4%. So it's gone up by a factor of around about 100. Now, we can actually detect this. We can do a little test which we would have done in the lab by simply taking a drinking straw, putting one end in your mouth and the other end into a clear liquid called lime water. If you breathe out through that straw for around about 30 seconds or so, the lime water will go cloudy, will turn cloudy, and that's indicative of carbon dioxide being present. So lime water is a test for carbon dioxide. Okay, this needs to be in your notes also, so once again, you can hand draw it. I appreciate it's really difficult to do. So I have attached, part of Show My Homework, a Word document which has got this there for you to print off and stick in. So if you could do that, pause the video, or print off and stick in your notes, that would be great. Okay, hopefully you've done that. I'd just like to explain, if we go on to the next slide, a little bit about the path that the oxygen takes as it goes through your respiratory system. So, of course, the air can enter through our nose and mouth. So there. It then goes down a pipe called the trachea. At key stage 2 you might have learnt it as the windpipe. Key stage 3 we need the correct scientific term, trachea. It travels down the trachea and then it splits into one of two bronchus. So there are two lungs, that's one path there, and the other one is hidden by the rib cage there. So it goes into one or two of those. It then splits further into smaller tubes called bronchioles. Okay, we see those there. Now at the end of the bronchioles are so-called air sacs. Again, the scientific term is alveoli. And at the end, the alveoli are blood vessels. And it's at this point here, in the alveoli, in the blood vessels, that oxygen gets transferred into our bloodstream. It's also the point at which waste carbon dioxide is transferred back out by a process of diffusion. Again, something that we met in a previous topic. So the pathway then is nose, mouth, trachea, into one of the two bronchus, into the smaller bronchioles, towards the alveoli, which are close to blood vessels, and that's where you get the transfer of oxygen into the blood and carbon dioxide out of the blood. Okay, let's see if you understood that then. Again, if you haven't the ability to print stuff off, you will, I'm afraid, have to copy these statements out, but they are at the moment in the wrong order. Okay, so starting at the top, you need to put the point at which respiration starts. So think about how the oxygen gets into our bodies. That needs to go right at the top there. If you have got a printer, print it off, rearrange them, stick them into your exercise book, and we'll go through them when you've had a chance to do that. Pause the video now. Okay then, your solutions then. Gas exchange in the human body. The first step, of course, is that air enters your body through your mouth and nose. Air then moves down the trachea or windpipe, which is a large tube. Air moves down a bronchus, like say one of the two bronchi there. Air moves through a bronchiohole, the tiny hole tubes here. And air moves into the alveolus. Alveolus is singular, alveoli is plural, which is the air sac, and that's where the gas exchange takes place. So oxygen diffuses into the blood and carbon dioxide out. Okay, so that should be quite straightforward. Again, lots of terms to learn in this biology topic. So you could produce a glossary like you did for the last unit. That's entirely up to you. Okay, so you should now be able to identify and name the parts of the gas exchange system, also called the respiratory system. Describe how some parts of the respiratory system are adapted to carry out their functions.